Chapter 9. 186. She enjoyed the happiness, but she also knew that it would trouble Wilbur greatly. So, she attempted to leave. However, she could not bring herself to do so, because deep down, she did not want to lose Wilbur again. She felt conflicted. She knew that, and she knew that Wilbur felt the same. Moreover, Ryder talked to Wilbur, and it was obvious that Wilbur had other things to attend to. His job was delayed because of her, so it made her feel guilty. Farron walked in slowly when they were silent. "Bro, Miss Brand's room is ready. She can move in any time." Wilbur nodded and said, "Faye should be off from work by now. Go and invite her over." "Faye is here," said Farron with an awkward expression. Wilbur turned to look at the door. He saw Faye walked in with a face as cold as ice. Faye. Nancy stood cowardly, like a child who made a mistake. Faye ignored her, and she looked at Wilbur with a cold gaze. Wilbur stood slowly to look at Faye. He said, "Let me explain. The situation back then—" "Shut up!" yelled Faye sternly. She said, "I don't want to know what happened back then. All I want to know right now is why did you bring her back?" "I?" Wilbur was speechless. Everyone in Sea Lake Island knew about his relationship with Faye. They were a couple. It was hard to explain who Nancy Brand was. "Faye, calm down," said Wilbur. Faye was cold as ice. She scoffed coldly and said, "Calm down. If I bring a man home and say he's my boyfriend, what would you think? What would you do?" Wilbur was speechless. He could not explain himself. Nancy was mistreated, so he stepped up and announced that Nancy was his woman. It was reckless, and he did it for Nancy so she would not be humiliated or sad. However, he thought things through on the way back. It was not an act of recklessness. Everything he said was something buried deep in his heart. It suddenly came out. It was his true feelings instead of an act of recklessness. He liked Nancy, and he was sure about that. However, he could not explain himself to Faye. Faye was his official girlfriend, after all. Faye must have been unimaginably hurt when he brought Nancy back. "I'm sorry, Faye." Wilbur could not defend himself, so he apologized to Faye in a soft tone. Faye scoffed and shook her head. She said, "So, Nancy Brand is your girlfriend now, and I'm not?" "That's not it, Wilbur realized he could not find the words to defend himself. He liked Faye, but he liked Nancy too. However, there was no way a person could have two wives. It would be outrageous. Nancy looked at Faye and said slowly, "Faye, Wilbur only didn't want me to be humiliated back then, so he said all those things and brought me back. Please don't trouble him. I'll leave you guys. I'll leave Seachertown. I'll leave Cardin Province, and I won't ever come back." "Oh yeah? Are you taking his side now? You're belittling yourself so you can make me seem evil and stingy, right?" asked Faye loudly. Nancy lowered her gaze and cried. She said, "That's not it, Faye. Please don't misunderstand." Suddenly, Faye pulled out a knife from behind. She placed it on her neck and looked at Wilbur. She said, "You have to make a choice today. It's either her or me."